Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday here at your Facebook community, Transformation through Acquisition Driven Instruction. I am so happy to see you here today, and I am excited once again because I'm again with my friend Maribel Gomez, who I had as a guest a couple weeks ago, where we shared so many resources for back to school season. And today we're actually going to be talking about everything about the deskless classroom. So if you have been thinking about going deskless, or you are wondering what is all the fuss about going deskless, why even do it, why do some teachers do it, how do they do it, we want to answer the questions, and we kind of want to talk about our experiences. So Maribel, welcome back today. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited that you have said yes, I'll be there again, so thank you so much. And let's just get to talking about deskless. And I know that we both transitioned to deskless the same year when we used to work together, because Maribel and I used to work together at the same school. This is the second year she's not at my school, but before then we used to work together, and we both transitioned to the deskless classroom setting. Many several years ago. How long has it been? Has it been 5 years or so?
I think
I,
so.
I
Yeah.
can't even recall. Hello, everybody. Hello, Anna Marie.
Five, maybe six. I can't remember.
It's been about 5 years, I want to say, since we
Yes.
decided to go deskless. Now, I want to start this conversation and this presentation by saying that going deskless does not mean anybody's better than anybody. And going deskless per se does not mean it's not necessary for acquisition to occur. Okay, so I want to start just by saying that. Again, I'm just going to repeat it. Just because a teacher's deskless does not mean, that's a better teacher, or that's a better CI teacher that this other teacher who cannot be deskless or who doesn't want to be deskless. Okay,
Mhm.
number one. And number two, going deskless does not necessarily lead to acquisition. Uh, it's not necessary for acquisition to occur. You can still be an amazing teacher, and maybe you don't want to go deskless because that's just not what you want. And maybe you don't want to go deskless because your district or your school won't allow it, and that is okay. So I wanted to start with that before we actually talk about this. Hola, Nulan. Hi, everybody who's logging in. So glad you are here. And yes, so let's talk about this, Maribel. So tell me a little bit about how or what got you into thinking, let me toss my desk out of the room.
So actually, a little bit longer, maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, I was fed up with desk, and one because they're so bulky, you can't arrange them the right way, and everybody was facing the front, like a traditional school, and I was just like, kind of want more space. I don't like clutter, but I can tell you that I don't like to like feel like I'm like just I'm a small person to
Inundated.
begin with.
Yeah.
Yes, and then everything just felt like it's so crowded and there's no movement, nothing like that. I had done desk, I had done tables because after I convinced my principal, I need some tables. Let me, exchange. And at that time, there was a teacher that didn't want tables; she wanted desks, and I was like, oh, all right, let me go change them. I done the desk, I done the tables. I like the tables. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, again, they were so bulky. They were taking too much space. And the reason why I got tables is because I want a conversation, and then we do a lot of activities. We do a lot of art projects and things like that. And I mean, the tables were better for grouping and group work and cooperative work and everything. But again, they weren't doing much for me. And I feel like when having tables, the kids just kind of like didn't engage as much. And so I told Bertha, I want to do flexible seating. And she said, let's hold on to it. And then we both do it at the same time. And then somehow we went from flexible seating to just just chairs. And she said, let's do chairs. I said, okay. So we went at it together. And the first year was kind of like a learning curve for everybody, for the kids, for us. And then we started implementing a few other things for better classroom management. Berta has always been great with all these things. So I'm like, well, how you did this and how you did that. So we bounce ideas back and forth. So at some point our classrooms looked the same, and it was kind of easy for us because it was just her and I for Spanish. So if the kids came from her to me or from me to her, our
There was
classroom
that
looked the
consistency.
same. The kids were expecting the same thing. We use the same tools too, so it wasn't much transition for them. But the kids complained at the beginning because we were the only ones. We told principal too, which is, yeah, Berta and I can tell you, our principal was, it has always, it wasn't was, he's still very supportive. We told him we want to go Deskless. He said okay, and we try it. It doesn't work, we go back to something. And then we were the only Deskless teachers in the school. And now a little by little, I think we got a few other teachers to kind of not go completely Deskless,
That's
but
just like,
try it.
but consider flexible sitting approaches.
Flexible seating, yes. So that was pretty much how we got there. We incorporated for things for classroom management to go with the Tesla's classroom, and it facilitated a lot of things. I was really tired of seeing kids like laying down, using cell phones, hiding cell phones in between the desks, things like that. With chairs, they can't lay their heads down. It's, they can't just pull up a cell phone and use it. And they really can't just not pay attention to you. They had to be focused on
for
you.
for the for specifically for the acquisition driven classroom, if you don't use a textbook, Deskless is just so ideal because we're up and moving and transitioning every 10-15 minutes from activities. It is just so beautiful and so easy how we go from one thing to the next, even
Yes.
in a 90-minute class, because currently I am teaching 90-minute classes, and let me tell you, I am making sure that every 10-15 minutes we are doing something different. And it's just a matter, like today we did inner circle, outer circle, speed dating type of activities. And it was just like bam bam, I need 8 people here, make a circle. Okay, the other 8 people, make another circle. And it was just that easy to set up those activities. And same with if we're doing brain breaks, if we're doing four corners, it's just so easy to make it happen, as opposed to with all that desk, all that bulkiness in there. Like you mentioned, Maribel, they would put their heads down. It's just so easy to put their heads down. Now I have had some students. I had one student who was even standing up. but it definitely reduces that, and they're not hiding their cell phone. It's like really easy to see if they're on their cell phone as well. So we're going to kind of walk through like the process of going deskless, and we do have a presentation we had, Maribel and I had done in the past a long time ago. So we're going to bring that presentation back right now. We're going to kind of go through it, and pretty much we're going to go through it pretty fast actually, because we don't want to take up a lot of your time today. But yes, so today we're going to make sure that you are able to formulate a vision to pursue a deskless classroom. We're going to talk about several elements from a deskless environment, and maybe how we can justify going deskless for our students, parents, and admins, because they are going to want to know. Oh, they're going to want to know. And then we also want to make sure that we generate a list of possible tangible and intangible resources for deskless. And we want to make sure we identify and investigate additional support. And I cannot see my screen. Can you see my screen? No. Okay.
No.
All right. Here we go. You should be able to see it now, because I was looking at my, let me see. Let me wait for it. There we go. Okay. So yes, so we're gonna develop a plan of action to go desk free. If you want to go desk free, today is your day, my friend, because we're gonna kind of walk you through several things here. And I actually learned about this model for managing complex change matrix. It's actually from Lipit Noster from Enterprise Group. However, it's a graphic, that's a graphic credit. I learned about it from Becky Rankin. She is an amazing presenter as well. And she had it, and I was like, this makes so much sense. Anytime we want to bring a huge change into the classroom, if we have a vision, if we have skills, we have incentive resources, but we don't have an action plan, we're not going to start. If we have a vision, we have skills, incentives, we don't have the resources, and we do have an action plan, that gives us frustration. Okay. And I mean, you can see whatever, all of these elements have to be present for us to experience success with any complex change. Going deskless, I won't say it's a complex change, but it's a drastic change for your learners and for you. And we want to make sure that today we give you the vision, the skills, the incentive, the resources, and the action plan. So here we go. So it starts with asking yourself, why do you want to do this? And Maribel already talked about why she wanted to do this. Um, and maybe Maribel, you can kind of tell us a little bit more of like what really was like the you were considering um flexible sitting, and then I said let's hold off next year, let's go all in with deskless. But what, I mean, you could have said no to me. So what made you say yes, let's do it?
I wasn't ready. Like I'll play around with the idea of flexible sitting, and I saw that from a lot of teachers on YouTube that I was following that weren't particularly Spanish teachers or language teachers, but they were very successful. It works for elementary school so well, and I was like, there has to be a way. I wanted to do stations like a reading station, a computer station, and things like that. And then so, but then like I said, I wasn't quite ready. Like my vision for my classroom and how it was going to functioning wasn't quite there yet. So when Berta's like, hold on, let's do more research. And if you know Berta, she loves research. So she did all the back the research for me, and they said this is what we're gonna do, and then we went on with it. And like I said, that first year it was like, let's do this, let's try that, and it was a process for both of us.
So it was more for you that you had seen already be implemented with success among other classrooms that you
Yeah.
admired then.
Yes, I was like, I want to have a classroom like that. It looks so nice, so neat.
It looks so,
Like,
so fun, so engaging. Yes.
yes.
Okay, so we want to ask our audience today, what is your, think about this. It's just for you to think about. What is your personal vision for your deskless classroom? If you are listening to this presentation right now, if you're still here, then it's because you are thinking about going deskless, or you're maybe considering it for the future. So what is your personal vision for this? So think about that for a moment. And I'm going to share with you. Mine is I want to remain deskless because I want to continue to provide learning experiences that are conducive to community building in my class. Of course, it can happen with desk. I mean, every classroom is a community, but I can be even um, more intentional, and I can even do other things if I don't have those desks standing on the way. And I can do that, and I can do that language
More
acquisition
intentional.
without barriers, and the barriers being the desk for me. So that is it. So it starts with, really honestly, what is the vision for you? What is the vision for you going deskless? So think about that for a moment. And we're going to go to skills. What skills do you need to make it happen? What do you realistically have control of? So when we are going deskless, obviously you already have the skills. You're already the teacher. You already call the shots. You already create and host all of this super engaging activities and everything. So some skills that you may need to make this happen, maybe, is just nothing new, really, just being proactive and thinking ahead of what kind of situations can arise. Sometimes it could not be, sometimes it would not be necessarily something obvious, but I know it can be scary at the beginning to just go ahead and get rid of all my desk. Oh my God. But let me tell you something, friends. If you're going to go deskless, I highly suggest you don't just put the desk on the back of the room. Don't you agree, Maribel?
Yes. Yes.
Because what is going to happen if you leave some type of sitting places with tables or chairs and desk in the classroom?
They want to go there.
Yes,
They're gonna gravitate to go there. Hide
they
everything. Take it away.
absolutely,
Take it
absolutely.
away.
Absolutely. Yes. So make sure that if you are going to go deskless, don't panic. Whatever you do, don't panic. It honestly, it is a big transition, but at the same time, is what we make of it here as educators and how we present it to the students, especially if we're at middle school and high school level, especially at the high school level. It's all about how we present it to them. And it's all about how you roll it out in your classroom and the changes that are going to happen. One skill that I had to gain as a result of going deskless, it challenged me. I feel that it challenged me to be more interactive and with my learners, and it challenged me to research more activities that were acquisition driven that require more communication, and it pushed me to do more interpersonal communication in the classroom, which are all excellent things. What would you say, Maribel, were some things that changed for you once you brought the desk? Once you took away the desk from your classroom?
The attention that my kids were giving to the class, like they were actually interacting with the class a lot more. Um, like, usually I had to force things out of them at some point, and now they were more engaging. They were more engaging, and also when we needed like those transitions, it happened very, very quickly. Um, and they actually, like say, it took a little bit of time. I'm not gonna lie, it took a little bit of time, but my students at the end, they just learned to cope with it, and then they were they were more active with the class than before.
Definitely, most definitely. And at first, it's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable for them because, and especially if you're doing it, it's easier to do it when you're starting a brand new semester with brand new kids than it is to do it right now. If you even if you're in just a week two, but I am not telling you this so that you don't do it. Go ahead and do it. But I'm just telling you, it's easier to do it if you're about to get started with your learners, if you haven't seen them and you're doing acquisition driven instruction, it's easier to just do it from the beginning than as opposed to, doing it on week 3 or week 7 or whenever. It's just easier to do it fresh. Um, but if you are going to do it, you're in week 2, you're in week 3, and you decide to do it, it's all about how you present it to your learners. And it's all about the benefits they're going to see as a result of being deskless. So don't worry about this. I know that the Menti codes are not working, and that's because this code was not actually, uh, it was not for us tonight. So forgive me for that. But we can just share our answers in the chat. What skills do you think you are going to need yourself when you go deskless? So maybe you are an amazing person, an amazing teacher who does very well with managing your classroom. So that's like your jam. So maybe you're not gonna need that so much. Maybe you are super hands-on and super dynamic with games and everything, and that's a skill you already possess that you won't need. But those are some of the things that, for me, those are probably the two biggest skills, like being able to quickly shift activities, and also making sure that if my students at the beginning push, because they will push a little bit the limit, um, and they will test you like, is she really going to go with this? You just remain positive. Remain positive. So some skills also that we wanna bring into mind that you may not be thinking about, or you may be thinking about, is brainstorming. What kind of spaces do your students need? So Maribel, I'm gonna let you talk about this because you're so great at setting up stations in your classroom and setting up spaces. So as a teacher, let's see what kind of skills are needed to build these different types of spaces.
Okay, so I did when it in with my old school and this school, I do have little stations because that was one of my things. I want things to be in certain ways. I do have a student center where they have all their supplies. I do have a resource center where they have like dictionaries and things like that that they might need. And then I have my library, and I have had that throughout. So those were the defined spaces that I needed to have. Um, I do have pictures somewhere, but I don't know if Berta, and I had a proficiency map too, and I had it in both classrooms. Let me see if can I share my screen, Berta?
Yes, I need to stop sharing mine. So just give me
Let
one
me,
second.
let me share
Okay.
screen,
You can
and
share. You should be able to share now.
what is we gonna do? Entire screen. Share. Okay, sorry, y'all. Okay, so let's see. This is my classroom now. Let me show you the actual map a little bit better. Um, this is now not quite done. I still need to put like the levels, like novice, mid, and all that stuff in there. But this is my proficiency map, and then this is over here. It's my little station where they have like their stapler, pencil sharpener, hole punchers. All those are electric, y'all, because for the longest, I used to have hole punchers that they could take with them, staplers that could take with them, and they never made their way back to where they were supposed to. That just drove me crazy. So now they're all electric. You can't take anywhere. You go there and you use it there. You move on. I do have a little project station, which is this little table right here. Just because when we have like some those kids that are super artistic and I need them to do something for me, or like just a working table. And everything else, I do have some desks, as you can see, and that's just because my school is making me have special for kids with special accommodations, and that this is so new to the school. I'm the only one that's doing this, so I needed to have some. I only have six, and then the rest of them are chairs. At my old school, I used to have this is my old classroom with Berta. You can see my proficiency map over there, which is I used to have it over there. And then over here, I didn't have carpet, so I have the little chairs and everything else. That was important to me to have like specific places where they needed to be, and mark them off. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And of course, everything else. And this was my resource place for them at that time. They have everything they needed, because you don't want them to interrupt you like, oh, I need a pencil, I need a pen, I need this, I need that, and they're always interrupting. Or also, if you have this in front of the classroom, some student move and then move to the front of the classroom. What's the first thing everybody's gonna look at? The student going to the front of the classroom to get all these things. So all these are in the back of the classroom, so they don't interrupt me, they don't interrupt somebody else, and I can move on with my life. So that was important to me. So definitely a student center, either near the door, behind the classroom. That was important. And I have extra help. There's a place where they could just go in there. You don't understand what I'm saying. Each of these little things is a special
QR
QR
code
code.
that takes you to a lesson.
Yeah, with the lesson, with special targets and things like that. So that was important to me. So in both places, you can see that I have near the door, I had a place for them to drop homework. I moved this one from the door to next to my desk. Reason is, before I moved out of Woodville, I had a few incidents where students will grab somebody else's homework out of the door on the way out, and then like some miraculous way I was missing work, or they copying somebody else from another class, like another period. And so in order, and there wasn't that many, but in order for me to not have those now, I'm moving next to my desk. Berta and I have these little things, so those are important. How are they going to be able to write? I think we're going to talk about that in a little
Well, we're
bit.
going to talk about that in a little bit.
So this was my library back in my old school, and also my cultural center. Everything in here have a different country, different things, and they have little tags that tell them everything they need to do. So this was also in the back with books, the resources, the everything, dictionaries and everything else, or class sets and everything. So that was important to me. But you had to define what are those stations that are important to you. What do you want them to have?
Yes.
Um, Let me
So,
stop sharing.
so even if you do go deskless, you can still have those flexible spaces and still function the same way as if you did with desk. And Maribel and her examples just kind of show how that works. um, and that's just the beauty of it, that it's essentially the same, but at the beginning, we do have to make sure we are ready to tackle that change. So those are some skills that we may need, and to think about building stations, uh, if we want to have that as part of our new classroom, deskless classroom.
Yeah. And just also kind of think about maybe what the possible things that the students can live without.
Hmm.
It's the problems that they might have with, how am I going to write? I need space for this, I need space for that. We're not allowed to have lockers. And actually, for me, that's not a problem because at Woodville, we never had lockers. But over here, they used to having lockers. And so now they had to bring all their things with them. To be honest, for me with the Deskless, it's so much easier right now, especially because there's enough space for you to have your book bag underneath, over it, next to it, whatever. And also that 3 feet apart, it's more doable with just my chairs than it was with tables or desk. So I can spread them out a little bit more because I have more room. And I also have more room for movement too. So you kind of have to like create, how do you want them to set up? Do you want them in straight lines? Do you want them in groups? You saw that I had little groups. Um, Mark off like groups of four, groups of six, things like that. Some people just have them like in a little round around you. What you call those? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
like a U. Hmm.
Yeah, some people have them
Portion.
in straight lines. So however you want. If you want them to work in groups, you can do that. If you want them just to attend to you, you can do that. Just see vision how you want your class to flow, how you want them
And
to.
then always, there's always YouTube if you want more ideas. I know Maribel gets a lot of her inspiration from different teachers that she follows on YouTube, and she looks at their blogs and gets.
The caffeinated classroom. If you don't want to do deskless and you want to do flexible seating, because that's who I was following at the beginning, that teacher, she teach English, which it's still language. Um, Yo, that's the classroom goals right there if you're doing flexible seating. And everything and how she actually, don't just design a classroom to design a classroom for aesthetics purposes, but design with purpose. And she's gonna tell you, all these things, how she did her bulletin boards and everything. And that's high school. There's a lot of elementary school teachers out there on YouTube, but this it's really hard to find a good high school teachers that can show you how to design on YouTube. But she's and also a lot of her ideas for classroom, even though they are for English, you can incorporate them for Spanish. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I love her blog as well. So we are
yeah,
going to share this presentation with you in a little bit. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for this presentation, and you'll have access to the PDF, so you can click on all the resources and places. So we want to kind of share with you some possible layouts for classrooms. Maribel already shared her classroom with you. This is a picture of mine. Now mine looks a lot, well, not a lot different, but yeah, all the stuff from the back, all these tables. This was actually the day we were gonna have a little session, a little PD session in my class. That's why you see all those tables in there, but they're no longer there. But you can see all my desks all over the place, and then my rejoinders as well. And then we have all the space in the middle to be able to interact, get up, and do what we need to do in the class. Here are some other pictures that if you're thinking about going deskless, there is a Facebook group. I don't know exactly who is in charge of that Facebook group, but it's called from Deskless
this classroom.
Classroom Facebook group, TPRS Deskless Classroom. And you can go in there and get inspiration because other people share the pictures of their classrooms. So this is one, and you can see this is from a teacher named Christina Tanner, and this is what her deskless classroom looks like. And this one is more like on a like semicircle type of layout. This was from that same space, from that same Facebook community. uh Here's another one as well. It's more like a little what do you call it, like an audience sitting style, this specific one. And then here's another one. This one seems it's more for littles. It looks like the chairs are smaller for like elementary school. But you can see they have the clipboards in the middle. And clipboards, if you are deskless, there are certain things you are going to need that are a must. And Maribel, we have a Diosa who's asking, can you put the name of the Facebook group in the chat, please? If you don't
Yes.
mind, if
Let
you
me
can grab
see.
that link for me and share it.
Yes.
Um, yes.
And
The
someone
name,
else asked about the tape. How does
yes.
the tape work? Okay, so if you have carpet, there's like Velcro tape that works wonders because they can vacuum over it, or you can get the little Velcro circles to put in there as well. For non-carpet floors, electrical tape, electrical tape, not duct tape because the adhesive will your custodians will just
It
not
will
like
mess
it.
up your
Okay.
floor, and then your custodians are gonna hate you.
Yes. But electrical tape works better. Um, you have to have clean floors for sure. So you're gonna have to mop the little area, make sure there's no dust and everything, so it can adhere very well. They can mop around it, they can sweep around it and everything. Just make sure that over time. I'm not gonna lie to you. Over time, if the kids move the chairs, scrape the chairs over the tape,
you
it
will
will
you
go
will
away.
have to yeah,
You have to
I
replace
would
a little bit.
say I replace my tape maybe about 4 or 5 times a year. I will replace my tape because the kids are going to be kids and they're going to move the chairs. However, I will say this year I don't have the tape, and they are still sectioned the same way. I told my kids from the beginning, when we move the desk and when we I mean our chairs, and we move things around, please make sure everything's put back before you leave this classroom. And with the whole sanitizing and everything, it makes it easier to just have that time at the end of class for them to actually put everything back, so it works. But yes, at the beginning, for it's like training wheels. The tapes are it's like training wheels. um, it's just like, this is a section where you're staying, and you're not, your chair is not going to end up next to your best friend. Like, this is where you're staying. So it works at the beginning. But is it necessary? No. Does it
No.
help with management? Yes. Okay. So we can see some sections in here of these pictures, and Maribel has already shared a link to the Facebook group. So now we're going to talk about another skill, and we already kind of mentioned that managing this type of classroom. The students are going to need where supplies are placed, because that matters. Like Maribel, she has a little station. I have a little station as well, where everything they need, it's in there. We love to use a lot of brain breaks that we have learned from our amazing friend Annabelle Williamson, aka La Maestra Loca. We love to do brain breaks, especially in a 90-minute class like mine. We have also classroom jobs as well, so that the students are invested and they feel part of the class. Right now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not promoting the jobs as much because I don't want people up and passing around stuff. So I'm just the main one passing around stuff as needed. And then, it we give them options for cell phones. So we're not telling you that with Deskless, your phone issues are going to go away. They're not, but they are going to be minimized big time. And something else that helped me minimize the cell phone issue with my learners is that I have, and I think Maribel, I don't know if you do too, but I have a charging station. Um,
Okay, so I don't, and one of the things I do like about this place is that there is no issue with cell phones because there is no cell phones allowed in the classroom. So I don't have to have one. But in Woodville, we had a bring your own technology, and that could open a can of worms with the cell phones. And so they're allowed to have their cell phones as long as they're for educational purposes, but you know how that goes. So at Woodville, I did had a place where they could put their cell phones in charge, but if they charge it, they can't touch it.
Same here. Same here. I told my students, if you are charging your phone, you cannot come in the middle of class and come check your text messages. The phone needs to stay there the whole time. And they are pretty good at honoring that. So definitely, if you don't have a charging station going, I highly recommend it because it does help minimize those cell phone distractions even more So your deskless classroom is already going to minimize that, and then on top of that, having that charger, that's just going to, like, pretty much, I hardly ever have any cell phone issues with my learners. Okay.
And the
Mhm.
caffeinated classroom has a little cell phone thing going on in there too, so you can see that. But I would say high schoolers, well, we were in high schoolers will run out of battery so quickly. So if you have a charging station for them to charge the phone for a whole class period, they would do it. They would do it. And if the deal is that you can't touch it, they would do it. Because they just, I don't know what they do with that charging battery, but I'm like, yo, we just
Yeah, totally. And then also, sometimes they get too comfy. That's another thing. They can get too comfy in the deskless setting. So something that helps is to change their sitting arrangement every like month. Change the sitting arrangement, and then it will reset everything, and then
yes.
everybody will be peaceful again if they get a little bit too comfy. So that's
If you
another.
wanna, yeah, if you wanna play with their heads, you can change every 2 weeks. Because I used to do that, and they're like, "Are you ever going to leave it the same way?" I was like, "No, no, I'm just trying new things. We see what works, what doesn't. We go, and sometimes we go back to something that. But yeah, that kind of keeps them like, "Ooh, it's something new in the classroom today." So it's kind of cool.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about some incentives for teachers and students. And in other words, why is it even worth doing? So going deskless, why would we even care to do it? And I actually, brought a little bit of research and also some of my students' testimonials as well. But I just think that I could tell you all day long why this is amazing. But the students, it's what matters. Their opinion and their voice is what matters the most. So first, I want to share with you that like Maribel mentioned, classroom design does matter because it really affects how the kids engage and how they participate and how they stay involved in the learning experience. Um, and I do have some research that I'm going to share with you when you are presenting this to your principal. You want to link some articles to support what you're doing. I'm sharing this presentation with you, and it does have several links to several articles for you. Um, so as a teacher, for me, a deskless setting, it has decreased my grading drastically. And let me tell you why. Because a lot of the stuff that I do in the classroom is very tactile. So it's a lot of moving and manipulating. It's a lot of getting up around and talking to people. It's a lot of dry erase board responses, formative assessments happening on the spot with dry erase board. Like pretty much I ask myself every week, what do I absolutely want to have graded? And now that I know Go Formative, my grading is like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's non-existent. Okay. So because literally I'm grading the kids on the spot. So if I'm doing interpersonal, I'm grading them on the spot. With the Go Formative, with the dry erase boards and the questions, like they understand that if they don't participate, and they don't they don't participate, they don't provide answers on the dry erase boards on Friday when we have the actual test, or whatever day of the week we have the actual test, they're going to know there are going to be consequences for not having participated earlier on the week. So we don't have that question like, oh, is this going to be for a grade? No, let's do this because eventually you're going to have to perform and you're actually going to get a grade for this. So it has decreased my grading drastically for so many reasons. And as I mentioned before, it challenged me. And I think, I can say the same for Maribel, to become more reflective with lesson planning. Since we now have all of this space, how can we really continue to sell it to the learners as to why we're doing this deskless thing? Definitely increases engagement in the classroom. It provides easier transitions as well. And as I mentioned, we have just a lot of interpersonal mode because it's just so easy to set up with Deskless because of that community element. It's so easy to group them, it's so easy to pair them up. It's just a lot easier because of all the space we have in the classroom. What else would you add, Maribel, for you as a teacher? What was the incentive?
Definitely the quick responses. Before it's like write it on a piece of paper. Then I had to collect 100 pieces of paper, and
Uh,
then I travel with my pieces of paper, and they never get graded. Now it's like you have a dry erase board. You write what your response is. I see around and see if everybody has. I might, if I know that kid is gonna always gonna have the answer right, I'm gonna go to this side of the room where I know some students might be, struggling, and I can focus on that, and then just kind of like glance at it. Moving on, erase your answer, move on to the next question, next activity, or whatever. Definitely, that has helped. Um, I use Go Formative as well with Berta. And if you don't know about it, that might be another topic for another day. But if you don't have time, Meredith White,
Just
if
go
you
see,
go to her
go
YouTube,
to Meredith White YouTube
yes, go to her
channel.
YouTube
She's
channel.
got the hookup with Go
I'm
Formative.
going to post it on the link to go to Meredith. She has tons of videos in there about Go Formative. It will change the world. It's worth the money every month. Trust me. I will make sure I don't have two extra piece Starbucks during the month. So so that I can pay for Go Formative. But it's a blessing. Totally, totally. Um, Another thing, passing things with the jobs. Berta introduced me to the class jobs, and I mean, I use it and abuse it, because that also minimize a lot of other things. So with the Deskless, the jobs came handy too. The desk.
Absolutely. In my classroom, I have 5 sections, and pretty much 5 sections. It could be 5 sections that are 5 small groups, and then across those 5 sections, no, I have 6 sections. I'm sorry, six. So 6 small groups, and then 2 sections are here, 2 sections are here, and 2 sections are here. So then I have 3 large groups. And how I collect papers is I have trained my students. In this section, they all pass it to the person in the corner, and the person in the corner verifies that everybody has a name on their paper, and same for the other side of the room, and same for the center of the room. So they all pass it to that one kid, and then that kid checks that, and then I don't have any papers without names, because that kid's already checked everything for me before that even became a problem. So it works beautifully to collect papers and to deliver papers as well. So the students, definitely the incentives for the students, they may not see this as an incentive, but it is. They become just so much better learners because they have minimized distractions. They enjoy more kinesthetic activities. They experience more success, and they're more invested in class. And they take ownership of the class with the class jobs, and they get to know everybody because we're always working with different people, and because it's so easy to group them. So that's their incentives. But this is what my learners have said. I actually surveyed them once a couple years ago, and this is why they say it makes the class more interesting. It helps me concentrate on what's going on in class. That's what Shreya said, and Nadi said. It allows me to not become sleepy in class. It helps me be more focused on the lesson and comprehend much faster. And then the money said it creates more space to do fun activities. It's also less clutter in the class. And now that one just caught me off guard, but I guess, that definitely makes sense. It doesn't look as
Yeah.
old. So that's what they said. Now, let's talk about resources before we wrap this up. What are some tangibles and intangible resources that you will need to go deskless? So here are some, and I'm going to let Maribel talk about these. We already kind of mentioned some, but I'm going to let her talk about this because she is like the best at shopping and finding great deals and bringing them to the class.
Okay, so I recently shared my Facebook, like my Amazon list, and I had a few of those. So definitely the clipboards are amazing. Unfortunately, in this school, I can't have my clipboards because they can't share them between classes. So I added clipboards as that's actually the only school supply list that I wanted them to have. Everything else they're gonna have. They have pencils, they have pens, they have all that stuff, but for my class that's the only thing I require them to have, which was the clipboards. um, these little carts right here that Berta has, she started having them, and then they're kind of pricey, I'm not gonna lie, they're like $29-$30 on Michael's. And because of COVID, y'all, Michael's is not doing that 50% off on one item anymore,
I did not know
but
that.
they do have a teacher discounts. And if you can find it, I think IKEA has a little bit better price and also a little bit better built. But I have mine from Michael's. I have six from Michael's, and two from IKEA. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't buy all of these in 1 year. Okay, I started with three. The
I was
next
gonna
year,
say I only have three. To this day,
yeah.
I only have three, and that's all I need. I don't know where you need six for, but okay.
So, and I'm gonna tell you why I have six. But so I started with three at the beginning too, just like Berta. Have one in between the stations, so that the kids can have all the supplies in there. And then I added another one and like one more, and maybe another one the following year. So I started adding a little bit at a time. The reason why I have six right now, it's because of cleaning. So I have cleaning stations, and so I have them next to the groups. So each little group has their own cleaning sets. Um, so I had two spray bottles because I don't know about y'all. My school is requiring us to clean in between classes and everything. I don't have time. I think I mentioned that before. In my Amazon little thing, I added the little containers. I split that one bottle that they give me into all those little containers so they can spray. I got the rags and everything. I also have the not clipboards, but I have little what paddle. It's not dry erase. The teacher that was there before me had this beautiful $120 teacher discovery pads that are color coded already for me. So that's what they're gonna be using. But just dry erase boards will work just wonders. Um, and what else? What do we have in those cards? Color pencils, pens, everything. The good thing about this when we go Deskless too is that we provide our students almost everything. You want loose sheets of paper, we have that. We you need pens, pencils, color pencils, markers, and all that. We provide all those things for them because we want to facilitate that. But the cards are expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you
But
know someone that works at
you can,
Michael's and has to give you the hookup, they get 40% off. Just saying.
yes,
But
they can do that. But also, I'm pretty sure you can find these cards on Amazon and put them on an Amazon wish list, and have
yeah,
your friends donate to your Amazon wish list, so you can get several of these shipped directly to your
yeah.
school.
Facebook Marketplace. I find two of mine, both of them for $10, y'all, and they were so nice. So that's why I have six. I have so much now because I was like, I couldn't pass two of them for $10, especially when I knew how much I paid for one.
Yeah, that's
So I
another.
was like, yeah, I'm having it, and I would do all that stuff. Facebook Marketplace is also a good resource.
But honestly, to get you started, this is pretty much what we recommend and all that you need: the clipboards, the individual dry erase boards, and the little stations, so that everything is like, for me, like I mentioned, I had three large groups. And on each group, in the middle of each large group, I have one of these little cards that has everything. And they know they come in, they get a clipboard, and they start working, and it works beautifully.
Yes.
Okay, so finding resources to set up your deskless the classroom. Well, we suggest definitely donors choose, teacher funder, setting up an Amazon wish list, which we talked about this last 2 weeks ago. Send a newsletter home and ask parents to donate things, and just ask. Oh, Maribel learned a long time ago that it is okay to ask for help.
Yes,
Um,
it's okay. I used to be like, but I can tell you, we both work two jobs, and I will buy everything. But y'all, after moving so many times, and Berta knows I moved too many times, and then having all these extra expenses, there was a year I was like, yo, I just can't shop for my students anymore with two jobs. So I did ask for help, and the outcome of that and how many people actually helped me was like amazing, because I almost never asked for help, but this time I was like, okay, so now I'm like, if it's something for me, I don't ask for it. Not gonna lie. But if it's something for the kids, I do ask for it. Extra help. But it's something that it's just because I want to have something, I don't ask for anything for the classroom for the kids. I do, and I find out that I had zero startup money. So everything I need.
Most definitely. Let me make sure. I am about to drop the link to the presentation, because Diosa was asking, can you share the link to the presentation? So I'm gonna go ahead and share it. Just dropped it in here, so you'll be able to see the presentation. And we're almost about to wrap it up. So um, gathering intangible resources. Okay, so I have some more resources for you in here. Sample proposition to present your case for deskless flexible sitting. You can make a copy and edit it as you wish. Letter to the parents from Mike Pito's blog. Document for parents. These are from different teachers who have shared um, several resources, so you can click in there and check that out. And then also we talked about different Facebook pages where you can check it out. Flexible setting for flexible learning, mindset management, and implementation. It's not necessarily only about Deskless, but you get some other great ideas online as well from that Facebook community.
And
Um,
one thing I was gonna say, if you're not ready this year because you already started, I wanted to do it for quite some time, and because I was getting the ideas, getting the resources, watching more people, see how these things was gonna work. I didn't do it until I was ready, but it wasn't until Berta and I both, she did the research. I started watching more videos and seeing how that could work for me, and then gathering a little bit of those resources, see how that was going to work, because it takes a long time for you to get rid of your desk, reset your whole classroom. We're not saying do it now, but if you say, we're saying that if you are contemplating it, maybe twiggle with the idea now. Gather your resources, watch the videos, read the blogs, and maybe by December, when you start a new semester in January, you can try a little bit. If it doesn't work, reset again. It doesn't hurt to reset again. I mean, you can get your desk back for a while,
I
but
mean,
maybe
worse comes to worse, right?
yeah, but you know, just you know, do a little bit here and there. And if you're not ready now, just I'm not saying go do it now for next week. That's not what we're saying. But if you wanna try it, here are the resources for you.
Yes, so we literally kind of like share with you all of our research, all the conversations we had, all the things we needed from the beginning. And also, if you want to dive into more research, you can read more about like circle sitting. It's like if you have an admin that is going to require you to actually articulate very well why you're making this transition. That was not the case for us because our admin again is still super supportive and anything pretty much that we want to do, like he really trusts us and we're just so grateful for that. But if your admin is going to be like, okay, they're gonna need more, I have done some research for you about circle sitting, about design and flexible sitting, and then also teaching with the brain and mind on movement, any flexible sitting, so that you can present this, read over it and present it to your admin with a lot more confidence. And you can even link some of these. You can even type an email and say, "Hey, I found all of these um, that support what I want to do." And it's kind of harder for an admin to say no, especially if you have taken the time to bring the research to them.
Yes.
So some truths that we want to share with you to finalize this is going desk free may not be for everybody, and that is okay. Some people, they don't want it, and it's okay. And that's why I started this presentation saying, no, I am not a better teacher just because I'm deskless. No, it's not necessary for acquisition to occur. You can still be an amazing acquisition driven instruction teacher even if you're not deskless. That's not something you want to pursue, and that is okay. Okay, you can start, like Maribel just mentioned, you can start out one step at a time as well. And small changes do make a big difference over time. And then finally, truth number 3: beware your teaching may be transformed and challenged in the process, which is true. It's true. We will get a lot better and will be transformed for the good, and also be challenged sometimes as well with a new type of seating arrangement with the deskless classroom. Um, so yeah, so what are some questions that you still have? If you have any more questions, I know we answered most of the questions throughout this presentation. What is left for you to do to be able to make this happen? Is it something where you just have to go ahead and make up your mind? Um, but I hope that at least you know what to do if you're thinking about it, whether it's now or in the near future. We just kind of wanted to give you all the resources and tools and all the food for thought before making this huge step, because it is a huge change. but it is much worthwhile. So I in the presentation that I share with you, that is linked in there, you will find several links for different types of desk-free activities that we like to use. Many of these you are already doing in your classroom already, but you can see so many of those in here. They're linked in there, and that is it, Maribel. I don't know if you want to add anything else or any final words you want to say about to the teacher who's like on the fence thinking about it right now. What would you say?
I would tell you something that it was always told to me. You can always try something, and if it doesn't work out, you can always go back to what worked for you. But if it works and it changed for the better, then you got a win-win. So I just feel comfortable, feel very, very comfortable about doing it, because like I say, it is a big change. It is a big change. This is my first year trying, well, my first time trying at this school. Like I say, I'm the only one, and I hope I don't fail, because like they want to see how this works. And with COVID restrictions and everything, it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be challenging, but we're gonna make it work. I'm hopeful. I haven't started school yet. I haven't started seeing my kids, but I had open house yesterday, and one of the first things that the parents saw when they walked in, and I explained to them, I'm a Deskless classroom, and I had to explain to the parents what is to expect and why do I have a Deskless classroom. And some of them were like nodded. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So we will see. We will see. Okay.
And in my school, that's already the expectation because we had a deskless classroom for the longest. I'm on week 3 with students, and it's been wonderful, a wonderful 3 weeks for me. Um, so at the beginning of the year, it was hard for me to go back into the school mode, and then I was just going through a lot of stress and anxiety. But right now I'm doing a lot better, and my learners have certainly, I have them to thank for that. They just have been so amazing. And also I'm just having so much fun with them back in the classroom, having everybody face to face, like I said, doing all these activities, interactive activities. And to answer Mary's question, did it change the kind of activities you used to teach? Yes, it definitely does, because now, and I don't even realize I do this, but because I already have like a repertoire of activities that are hands-on. Um, like some of my favorites are like the inner circle, outer circle, quick speed dating rotations. I love that activity, so easy to set up. We have other activities as well that we do, like with a line, when the students get in 2 different lines and they have to move. I mean, it's just so much easier to move them around. And for that reason, when I'm planning, I'm just, those activities already come to mind. So I would say it made me a more interactive teacher. Um, in that sense. And yes, we still have for example, for me, with the new restrictions right now, my students can be working in collaboration. That is fine, but they just can't be working for longer than 15 minutes. That's kind of like the rule. But other than that, they can work. And then for my brain breaks, like today we did Pikachu, but I didn't have them touching their hands. I had them space, and I'm like, you cannot touch your hands. So we were playing Pikachu, and yeah, they were able to work with other, like move around and work with different students, but they could never touch. So I'm limiting the touch, but we're still doing a lot of collaborative activities. And yes, as a result of Deskless, I just started searching for more games and more hands-on activities as well that lead to acquisition. So yes, when we said it's going to push you, it's going to push you in a good way, because now you have all of the space. Okay, what to do with it? And then the students realize, oh, this is why we're deskless. It makes perfect sense. We can't do this in this other class with a bunch of desks, but we can do this here. So you don't have to sell it to them anymore, because they see a benefit for it, because of how you teach your class. So we hope this session has been super useful to you. And again, the presentation is linked in the comments. So if you are one of those people watching the replay, look through the comments and you'll see the presentation. It's on a Google Drive PDF. and you'll be able to click on all the links. And if you have any questions, you can always put your questions in here in this community, and Maribel and I will be more than happy to answer that. We hope you have a great evening. It's great to see you, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. And we will have this conversation again in Instagram tomorrow, but in Spanish. So we will talk about Deskless classrooms in Spanish tomorrow on Instagram at 7 p.m. So we'll talk to you if you want to join us there. And if not, we'll see you next time. Take much care.
Adios.
Thank you, Maribel.
Adios.